everyone, and welcome to part number 3 of our virtual GarageBand tutorial. In this video, we are going to be learning how to multi-track. So in our last video, we created a scratch track, which is going to be used as our baseline, our guide for everything that we record going forward. Some things that you want to make sure that you have ready to go. You should have 2 devices. You're definitely going to need 2 devices today. I think could have got away with only 1 recording device last week, but it certainly makes things a lot easier if you are recording directly into your audio software. So remember, I'm using GarageBand, and if you can record directly into that, way easier. But remember, you don't have to do that. We're going to also be using the microphone that comes with our smartphone. iPhones have really good microphones on them. So make sure you have 2 devices ready to go. Make sure you have your instrument. Remember that we want to make sure that we are tuning it before every single recording. So if you record and find that you've made a mistake and want to redo it, means you also have to retune. The worst thing that can happen is we get all of this work done, and then when we put all of our tracks together, we find out that one of our instruments was not tuned properly. So make sure you are tuning before every single recording. You may or may not see me do that today, but again, I assure you that I am tuning before every single recording. So remember what we talked about last week as well, about having a plan in our head. You should know what you want your finished product to look like. If you are doing this on your own, like I did for the introduction video, it's pretty easy because you know exactly what you want to do and you know exactly what you want yourself to do as the other part. But if you are doing this with a friend, you want to make sure that you have a plan in mind for what you want your friend to be doing. If you are doing this with me and you're sending me your recordings, you want to make sure that you are sending me your plan as well. I went over our Don't Worry, Be Happy music, and I have created a plan now for how I want the audio to work. So why don't we open that up? I've also left a copy of it in your Google Classroom so you can follow along. So let's take a peek at the plan that I have made. Here is my Don't Worry, Be Happy plan. You'll see that the music is similar, but what I've added are some highlights. The yellow highlights are what my lead vocalists are going to be doing. The lead vocalist is going to probably be you. You're the one that has the plan, so you should be the leader. My harmony vocalist is highlighted in pink, and when I want my lead and my harmony vocalist to sing at the same time, I have highlighted those parts in green. As for the instrumentation, I didn't highlight that. I'm going to be playing on the ukulele. I want the ukulele to play the chords for the entire song. I'm probably going to be playing the second part with either an acoustic bass or maybe an acoustic guitar. I'm not too sure what I want for that yet, but whatever instrument I do decide to be as my second instrument, I want them to be playing for the whole thing, so I haven't highlighted anything there. Alright, but when you send your scratch track to me or you send your scratch track to your friend, you want to make sure that you also send to them what your plan is, what you want them to actually record and what you want them to do. Okay? Now your friend doesn't necessarily need to have everything that we're using here. They don't need to have GarageBand. They don't need to have DaVinci Resolve that we're going to be using for the video later. They just need 2 devices, and one of those devices has to be their smartphone that they can record their audio, record their video. For the O Canada video that I made, Our scratch track was the music played on the piano, and that's what everybody followed to. And all you have to do for that is send them that music, tell them to play the music on one device with their headphones on, because we don't want to hear that, and then they can just hold up their see if I can get this started. Hold up their phone and sing along while they record themselves. They can record themselves with the video, they can record themselves in voice memos, and then they send it back. And that's all you have to do for your friend. So I'm going to pretend that somebody has sent me their scratch track, okay? And because I have GarageBand, I'm going to be doing everything through GarageBand. If you want, you can grab my scratch track that I put into the Google Classroom from last week, and we can work on this together. Okay, so let's grab that scratch track and let's put it into Garage. All right, so you can see I've got GarageBand opened up here, and this is the scratch track. This is the file that we created last time. And you can download it to your computer, or if you're using the scratch track from your friend, all we need to do is just click on that file, drag it in to GarageBand, and when I let go, there it is. And we can see it says, Mr. Reed, don't worry, scratch. Okay, and remember, scratch means that when we're done, we're just going to get rid of it. All this track is used for is a guide for all of the band members that are playing. So we have a plan. We have something to follow along to. Okay, so I'm going to move it up to the top just to keep it out of the way. And before starting, I made sure that my microphones that are going directly into GarageBand are already set up and ready to go. You probably don't have microphones at home. You probably don't have an interface at home, so you don't need these set up. You can just make sure that you're playing your scratch track on your computer device, and you're using the microphone from your smartphone as your second device. Okay, so I'm just going to slide this all the way to the start, and if I give it a play,
1, 2, 1, 2,
excellent.
3.
Okay, so I have the count in there, know exactly when to start, we know exactly what our tempo is going to be. Remember what our next step is before we record. We want to make sure we are in tune. So over here is our tuner. Let's open that up and let's get tuned. Okay, and we want to make sure that that needle is right on that 0. We want to see a nice green color. That sounds good. Tuned, ready to go. So what we're going to start to do is called multi-tracking. We're going to break down this song into all of its individual parts, and we're going to record each of those parts separately. Each one of those parts is going to become a track, and next week we are going to take all of those tracks and put them together, mixing them together, and edit them. So today is just going to be recording all of our tracks. It should be fairly simple for you if you were able to follow along with last week's video. It might take a little bit of explaining to your friend if you're doing this with a friend, but there should be no problem here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our headphones and we're going to put our headphones on, because remember, when we're playing that scratch track back, we don't want it to get picked up by the microphones. Okay, so we're going to put our headphones on so that we can hear the guide. All right, and the microphone from our phone won't pick up that guide. Okay. The other thing we want to make sure we do is, remember we had that count in at the start. So I'm going to hear that 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. To help us in our editing and mixing phase, have your friend, or if you're doing this yourself, you want to make sure that you are saying just part of that count in to help us line up all of those tracks. This will make more sense to you in tutorial number 4 in part 4. But for now, let's just make sure that when you hear that 1, 2, let's try to say the next 1, 2. That's all we need. Just need 2 words in there along, so that gets recorded to help us line up the tracks. Okay, let's get GarageBand ready to go. Okay, so remember, if you're using microphones like I am, we want to make sure that both of those tracks are armed. They're going to be recording at the same time. So remember to 2-finger click. I'm going to record enable, and I want to make sure that both of these microphones are flashing red. I do not. This is extremely important. Make sure that our scratch track is not flashing red. If it is, we want to unclick that, okay? Because we don't want the scratch track to get picked up, okay? If you're using your iPhone mic to record, this step is not necessary. All right, couple things I'm remembering before I push record. We want to make sure, because this is no longer a scratch track, these are our good copy recordings, we want to make sure that we are in as quiet a room as possible. So I still have kids who are running around upstairs doing their schoolwork. I can hear the fan on my computer. Okay, all of these things are going to affect your recording. Okay, so the more noises you can eliminate, the better your recording is going to be. Okay, I'm going to do the best that I can with what I got. You do the best that you can with what you have. And if you recall from my scratch track, I was being as basic and as simple as possible. Okay, but now that I'm doing my good copy, I'm going to have a little bit more complexity to my strumming. In my scratch track, I was just playing straight quarter notes, okay? Ta, 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 ta. This time I'm going to have a little bit of a chicka, a chicka, a chicka, a chicka to my strumming. All right, I think we're ready to. If you are using your iPhone, you want to click on Voice Memos to do that recording. Let's push record. And I think we're ready to go. And let's go to our second device, and we will push play so that we can hear our scratch track as our guide. 1, 2, 3. All right, there we have it. We have our first good copy. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to save that track. If you're on your phone in Voice Memos, we want to send that to our computer, and we can label that one. We'll label it ukulele track. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to send this. All right, I've sent that file from my phone to my computer, and its default file name was new recording. I'm going to change the file name just so I remember what it is. This was the ukulele. There we go. And that's just about it, okay? So we've got the individual track for the ukulele. Now I'm going to go back and do the individual recordings that are remaining. Because I want to do all of them myself, I'm going to record the lead vocal 1 next. Then I'm going to record the bass guitar, I think, next. And then I'm going to record the harmony vocal too. So when I'm done, I should have 4 tracks. If you are doing this with a friend, maybe you only have to do 2 tracks. Maybe you just have to do an instrument track and a vocal track, okay? It all depends on what the plan is. So I'm going to get finished up recording the rest of these parts, and then I'll check in on you and let me know what we're going to be doing for next week's.
One, two. Ooh. Ooh.
So I've just finished recording all of my tracks. Let's have a look at the folder that has the 4 tracks that I've recorded. So here's the folder. You can see that there are 4 tracks because I recorded the ukulele, and when you play this track, the only thing you'll hear is the ukulele. I played the bass guitar, and on this track you'll only hear the bass guitar. On this track, you'll hear just the lead vocal 1. And if you want to listen to it, I'd follow along using the planning sheet. You'll see that the lead vocal, it doesn't sing the whole time. The lead vocal sings in the chorus. The lead vocal sings the first half of the first verse, but then there's nothing, because the harmony vocal, number 2, also is singing the chorus, but adding a nice harmony on top of the lead vocal, and singing. And the harmony vocal 2 in my plan had this person singing the second half of the first and the second verse. So these are the tracks that I created, and what I would do now is that I would send them, email them, or upload them to your shared Google folder, or if you're wanting to send them to me, you can send them to me. But you would send this to the person who is going to be editing the audio files. And what we'll do in our next tutorial is we'll talk about how to edit these files to make them sound as highest quality as we can get them. And once we're done our audio editing, we'll be ready to start doing our video recording. I want to thank you for joining me. Don't forget, if you can't find anybody to be in your band, I'd be more than happy to be in your virtual band. Or if you just want to be in your own virtual band, that's fine too. So I'll give you about a week again to practice recording your tracks, and you can join me next time where we talk about editing and mixing. Take care.